Hi, my name is Tom Walsh. Thanks for watching this video. Today I'm going to show you how to record a macro in VBA. And then we'll take a little bit of a look at the code that is generated and point out a few of the problems and things in recording. First thing I'm going to do is go to the Developer tab and press the Record Macro button. That's that big red one right there. So I click that. And what that'll do is that'll pop up a dialog box. And here's where you give your macro a unique name. You can't have spaces in this. So I'm going to call this Sales Projection Format because we're going to format a sheet of sales projections. So I'll go ahead and type that in, Sales Projection Format. Then I hit OK. And then I'm going to go back up. And I'm going to highlight the Home tab so we see our normal ribbon. And now I'm going to open up a spreadsheet that I already have existing. So I'll go up to File, Open Recent, and I'm going to select a sheet that I already have up that's called Sales Projection. So I open that up, and so I've got a sheet. And what I want to do here is I want to take all of my 2011 data and move it over to a new sheet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create that new sheet where I want to put that data. So I'll go down to the plus sign at the bottom and click that, and that generates a new sheet, which is called Sheet 2. And then I'm going to go back to Sheet 1 and start pulling some of my data off of it. So I click the Sheet 1 tab. And I'm going to take that first row and copy it over to my sheet 2. So I highlight it and I right click and I select copy. Once I have it copied, I go over to highlight my sheet 2 tab and I right click and say paste. So now I go and I want to get off of that row, so I select one row and cell down in A2. And now I want to go back to sheet 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of my 2011 data, so I highlight from column row 14 on down through row 25, so I grab all of my 2011 data. I'm going to use a Control X here to cut that data, so I use my keyboard shortcut Control X, and then I go back to my sheet 2, and I use my Control V or Command V to paste that data into the spreadsheet. Now you see a few things, you see all these pound signs, and that's because the data doesn't fit into the cell. So we're going to correct that. So I go and I highlight column A, and I do a best fit. So if you point at the border of those two rows or two columns and double click, it'll best fit. Now column B, I want to shrink up a little bit, so I take and drag that border over to about 3/4 width. And now I'm going to highlight column C, D, and E. And if I highlight them all and I double click on one of them, it will best fit all of them at the same time. Now I want to highlight column A2 because that's where I want, in the finished product, that's where I want my active cell to be. Now I go back to sheet 1, and I don't want to leave my highlighted range there, so I go up to A2 and select that as well. And now what I have is pretty much the sheet the way I want it to look. And I'm going to go up and I'm going to hit save. And after it saves, I'm actually going to close the spreadsheet. So I go up and I click the close icon, close little X. And at that point, I now am done. So what I want to do is I want to go back to my Developer tab and I want to turn off my recording. What we're going to do now is we're going to open up the editor. So you go over to the editor icon and you click on that, and it's going to open up a little project window. And I know that it records into the last module, so I'm going to open up module 5 and start to take a look at. I'm going to maximize this, and we'll start to take a look at the what the macro actually recorded. The first two lines are the opening up of the existing sales projection spreadsheet. Once it was opened, we clicked on the plus sign and added a new sheet 2. After we have that, we go down and remember we clicked on our sheet 1 tab to activate it again. And once we have sheet 1 activated, we selected our first row of titles, and we did a copy on it, and that's the selection copy. We activated sheet 2, and once we activated sheet 2, we did a paste. After we pasted that data, we then went down and selected cell A2, and that is the active cell offset line that you see there. We then activated sheet 1, and once we activated sheet 1, we selected all of our 2011 data, and that's that line right there. And because we had a copy activated, it gets turned off by making a selection cut, which is the Control X, which is the next line down. And once we make that cut, we then go over to sheet 2 and activate it. And once we have sheet 2 active, we then are able to paste that data in. Once we have the data pasted in, you remember we had all of those pound signs, so we had to do an auto fit after we select column A, and after we then select column B, and there's a little bit of a column offset there. It says AA, but it was actually column B, and we made it 3.83 wide. And the next line down, you'll see again, we selected 3 columns. It says AC, but that's an offset from column B, so that's why it says AC. It's again a little bit of our just a reference in recording a macro, the very strange way that it shows you referencing. But once we have those 3 columns highlighted, we did an auto fit and made them large enough to fit all of the data in. And then we selected column Excel A2 as well. And then we went back to sheet 1. And once we're on sheet 1 again, we selected cell A2, so all of our sheets look the same. And then we actually did a save of the workbook, and once we have it all saved, then we closed, and we are done with our macro. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of how to record a macro in Excel for Mac 2011. If you'd like more information, go to www.excelformac2011.com. Thank you for watching.